Hey, oh, you guys are here. Sorry, I didn't see you here. Welcome. Hey, everyone. I can see Beverly, Eva, and Leanne. Welcome. So you're live in the chat room and can ask questions. And then I've got it streaming into one of our Facebook groups too. So in the Schoolhouse Life group, if you can't see us, you should be in there. And I'm excited to be sharing this information with you. I sort of just, was planning the class and I thought, this doesn't have to be complicated. I think right now everybody is we're talking about the immune system tonight. I'm Lacey Grimm. If you don't know, I'm really excited that you're joining us and learning about ways that you can kind of simply master your immune system and share some of my favorite tips and tricks and what I've learned. And there is so much to understand about our immune system that I think most people just walk around without really understanding, without really knowing. And that can make it feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. It doesn't have to be hard. And it actually can be quite fun. It can be something that we look forward to. Just for the record, I didn't say this already. If you have any questions and I say anything or I talk really fast sometimes, especially when I'm excited about the information. So if you have any questions, the Q&A is open here on Facebook. We'll come back to questions at the end if I don't get to them during the call itself or during the class itself. So we have over the years sort of come up with tools that work and they've kind of worked their way into being a part of our regular routine. A lot of them are oils, a lot of them are supplements, a lot of them are other things that we do that are more kind of homesteady, that we've shared a lot about actually in our homestead group. If you're not in there, it's just the Schoolhouse Life with Lacey and Drew on Facebook. It's a group that you can get into if you're not, excuse me. I got a tickle. If you're not in there, we would love to have you in there. Okay, I need to recover from my tickle. All right, but so I'm going to talk about the products that we love, and mainly I'm going to talk to you about some things that you can do that don't even involve getting new products, because a lot of it sort of has to do with just being aware all the time. So I took notes so that I could stay on track. So the immune system is, like I said, it can feel a little overwhelming, and a lot of people feel like they just aren't quite sure to make sure they're maximizing their immune system. And it really is an incredible tool, or an incredible part of our body. And it is so intertwined with everything. We can't really isolate it out as its own special thing. Like, you go to the ear, nose, throat doctor and they deal with just the ear, nose, and throat, but they don't deal with, if you have athlete's foot, right? They wouldn't talk to you about that. They wouldn't talk to you about if you're having heart palpitations, right? We don't really isolate things that way. When we talk about health, it's all kind of intermingled and intertwined. And for that reason, stress is going to have a lot of impact on our immune system. Our gut has a tremendous effect on our immune system. And then it also has a tremendous impact on our brain. And you can see that kind of flip-flop of brain connected to gut, connected back to brain, and then to all the other things. So we've got all these hormones and such that come from our gut, actually. When we think of hormones, we tend to think of our brain and maybe our pituitary glands and that kind of thing. But our gut is actually, I think it's 90% of the serotonin in our body, if not all of it, comes from our gut. So we really have to remember that it's important to support all of these elements, not just one or the other, or even really isolating one particular thing can leave us hanging in other areas. So we really want to make sure that we're sort of being more holistic in how we approach things. So I want to talk about that. We're going to start with number one, our gut. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you some simple tips to maximizing your gut health. We're going to talk about eating better and what you can do simply and easily without feeling like you maybe have to overhaul everything. It can be intimidating to change our diets. It can be intimidating to feel like we're just not getting any of it right. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be I say that a lot, don't I? It doesn't have to be so hard. It can be step by step by step, and then you're transforming your life. Okay. Number two, less stress. So we're going to talk about stress. We're going to talk about anxiety. We're going to talk about how that impacts our gut and how that, especially right now, is really impacting how our overall health. and can be very detrimental. So we're going to talk about that. And then thirdly, we're going to talk about oils and supplements and products that kind of meet all of these different needs. Before we get started on those three things, though, I did want to just hit on this because I'm not going to go deep into cleaning or non-toxic life, but some of the elements in our lives that we experience on a regular basis, and that's like exposure to toxins and chemicals and that kind of thing, may not seem that important, but they really can be one of the things that's keeping us from our optimal health and from our immune system functioning as well as it can. I mean, any interference is bad, right? So let's try to eliminate all that we can. Now, we want to clean our surfaces, right? And right now, more than ever, the cleaning of surfaces is happening like overkill amounts, right? I am a kind of a firm believer. We live on a farm, so things are just never really that clean. You know, I clean, we sanitize, whatever. But we're very, very healthy. So we kind of have this overestimation of how cleanliness is going to keep us well. And cleanliness is not really the thing that keeps us well. Balance is what keeps us well. And so we want to remember that, yes, while we do want to kill some germs, we also want to maintain some amount of an ecosystem and not wipe everything out, because when we wipe everything out, it leaves space for the bad guys to come in and take over. And that's generally what happens. So we need to be really careful. So my number one suggestion for folks who are, you know, particularly interested in keeping surfaces super, super clean all the time is just switch up your cleaners. So make sure your cleaners are non-toxic. You don't have to have toxic cleaners in order to actually clean a surface. In fact, studies have been done, and our On Guard, the essential oil, as compared to bleach on the same surface in the same exact clinical research lab, they divided a counter space or a table into two halves. On the one side, they cleaned it all with bleach. On the other side, they cleaned it with On Guard cleaner. Actually, no, it was just 4 drops of On Guard in a gallon of water. That is a lot of dilution. No, maybe it was 64 ounces. Either way, it was way less in terms of ratio than I would ever clean with. And they divided it in half, right? And on the one side, they inoculated, or on both sides, actually, they inoculated it with germs and bacteria and all of that kind of gross stuff. And guess what? On the bleach side, it grew back and was covered in like less than 12 hours. On the On Guard side, 7 days went by, and that bacteria and germs and all of the stuff, viruses they put on there, never got a foothold. And that's just a balance that was created on this one side versus on the other side. So when we're talking about our immune system, we want to do simple things like that. We want to switch out what we think is the best for us and use something that actually is. Okay, so we have choices in everything that we do, and it can be really simple to just switch cleaners, right? That's not invasive in any way. In fact, you're going to enjoy it, because smelling essential oils while you clean is way better than smelling bleach while you clean, in my opinion. Most people agree with that, I think. But anyway, so that's just one really simple example. And there's throughout your home, you can kind of nitpick that separately. We're not doing a cleaning class, but one really big way that we can improve our overall immune system is just the toxicity of our own home environment, especially now when we're spending so much time at home, so much more than we normally do. We're not leaving as much. We need to make sure that it is the healthiest place that it can possibly be. And upgrading our cleaning supplies can have a massive impact on that. Diffusing essential oils obviously is going to help too. It kills germs in the air. It boosts the mood. It boosts your immune system. All of these different things that are good, instead of using fragrances that are sold by other companies out of the grocery store. We want to be careful to avoid those things, because these fragrances are just strictly synthetics. Even if they say essential oils on there, there's no essential oils. They are synthetics. And those are things that are they're just gonna stress our bodies, and they don't actually support our bodies. So I just want to sort of put a disclaimer out there that if you're really seeking to improve your overall health, taking little steps like this can have such a big and massive impact. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So now moving on, obviously we want to wash our hands. We definitely want to wash our hands. We do want to kill those germs. We want to use non-toxic options. We do have some really great products. I did bring it over. So we make our own hand sanitizer, but you can actually purchase it pre-made. And it's just a mix of, well, this is different, alcohol and witch hazel is a good option, and On Guard, and it smells really good, and you don't have to, you kill all the germs. It's good for you. It's boosting your immune system at the same time as it's killing those germs off. We make a hand wash and all kinds of things with that On Guard. So you're getting these regular experiences with plants, which are our allies in this situation. Okay, plants were put here specifically to help us, and so this is kind of a simple way of us kind of making plants more a regular part of our lives, front and center, where they should be. But it can be hard. Okay, so now we're going to move on to 70% of our immune system is in the gut. Okay, which means that our gut is is crucial to feeling our best and to not getting sick all the time. And, often I'll talk to people who are kind of chronically sick, and the stomach always has a role to play. And often they will see this kind of recurring stomach issues alongside their other chronic issues that are constantly popping up. Sorry, I'm shaking my screen and bouncing everywhere. But the gut is a really, really powerful tool or powerful weapon and powerful source of everything. I mean, our gut is where nutrition goes in and then is dispersed throughout their body and absorbed and used efficiently. So supporting it is going to help us support all of the pieces of our body most effectively. But definitely the gut. Stress. I don't know if you know this interesting fact, but stress releases a hormone called corticosteroid, and that suppresses the immune system. So this corticosteroid is something that when stress happens, and we can't avoid it. It's election week, right? Oh my gosh, who's not stressed? Everybody is like, what's going to happen? Where are we going to land? How are we going to ever overcome these differences? How are we going to come together? And we don't have to solve that problem. We do eventually, right? We need to be loving each other. But the point is, we can't control everything kind of flying around us. Okay. So the best thing that we can do is sort of control our immediate environment. We can talk about that more. But with all of the stresses, with the fear that's going around us kind of constantly right now, we're being bombarded. It's going to be crucial, if we don't want to get sick, that we find ways to sort of dampen that fear, dampen that anxiety and that stress, find ways to cope, find ways to move through it. And I hope I'll give you some of those tools tonight, but that is a really crucial piece of keeping our immune system functioning fully and in our best interest. So we're going to talk about stress, and I'm going to give you some tips on how you can improve your stress levels. And then lastly, I'm going to come back to those two things and talk about the oils and supplements. I already gave you this overview, so now we're just repeating myself. But okay, moving on to eating better. All right, so the first thing I'm going to say, and you guys are not going to love it, I know Halloween was last night, less sugar. I know, this is hard. This is really, really hard for us, because sugar is a drug. It is. And the way that it interacts in our body is drug-like. So it's really important to recognize that when we say we're hooked on sugar, we love sweets, or we just need more sweets, that is a legitimate thing, and you shouldn't be ashamed of that, but we should make every step that we can into recovery, right? I still eat sugar. But one thing that I've done over the years, and our family has done over the years, is a couple of things. When it comes to sugar, we try to lessen the sugar in every recipe that we make and we have control over. We try to lessen it. And this is really good, because what it does is it enhances our sense of taste. And so when we have sugar, it's sweeter than it was before. So now if I get something like a candy bar, is not even appealing to me anymore, because it's just too sweet. It's too much sugar for me, and not my kids, they would still love it. But for me, that's just too much sweetness. And ultimately, I think they would even prefer something that was a little less sweet if they had the choice. What are some other, so sugary drinks for us? When we're talking about like sodas and things like that, we just don't do them. They don't come into our house except for on very, very rare occasions. And that's not to say we don't drink sweet, fun drinks. We just have found ways around it. So there's lots of great alternatives when it comes to like stevia sweetened things at the store. There are some less sweet things. There are some things sweetened with actual sugar instead of corn syrup. That's definitely going to be helpful. And then there are things that we make at home with just bubbly water and oils, or bubbly water and juice, and just mix it 50-50. And I'm telling you, that will be just as satisfying for most folks as they get used to it as any sort of soda would be. And I know that people are hooked on their sodas, and I understand it because I'm totally hooked on coffee. But it's one of those things where if we can eliminate that source of sugar in our lives, it's going to have a major impact on our health. So 75 grams of sugar will weaken the immune system for up to 5 hours. Now, that's not that significant amount of sugar compared to what people are generally intaking, especially if they're drinking these sugary drinks. Sweet tea is not off the hook, okay? We're not just talking about, I keep wanting to say pop, but I don't know if any of you guys are from that area, those regions where pop is the word they use. But you want to avoid these sodas and these drinks that are highly fructose or sucralose or just plain old corn syrup. Okay. So if you really need Coke, I've seen more and more they have Coke that's like from Mexico, and they don't use corn syrup in Mexico. Now, why don't they use corn syrup in Mexico? There's so many reasons, most of them political, and ultimately it's just not that good for you. In Europe, the same. And in Europe, I remember I went there when I was in high school, and I loved Fanta Orange. They have Fanta Orange over there, and we would get it in every time we passed a Fanta Orange. And then when I got back, I couldn't drink it. Us Americans have sugar, like it's sugar jacked up, like crazy amounts of sugar in our stuff. So we just need to be very, very wary of that and try to do better, okay, to support our immune system. The other really crucial bit about sugar is that bacteria and viruses, guess what their favorite thing to eat is? Sugar. So the second you're exposed to something and then you have sugar, you've weakened your immune system and you fed the enemy, right? So it's like worst case combination. So we really just need to be aware that this is something that we kind of have control of what we're consuming. And if we want to stay our healthiest, we just need to be more responsible about how what we're intaking. Okay. And there's no amount of oil supplementation, anything that can overcome if you're, overdoing your sugar intake. You really, really have to be careful there. When you're talking about eating better, now this can be really fun if you let it be. Some people have kind of grown accustomed to very specific diets and meal plans, so to speak. And it's really important that we learn to try new things. And that can mean adding more leafy greens. It can mean adding different veggies that are, different colors. We want as much diversity in our diets as possible. I can't remember the exact statistics, but I know that when you look in our supermarket, what we have on the shelves are things that are shelf stable, okay? Even the produce. So they have grown apples that will stay on the shelves for weeks and weeks and weeks without changing and rotting. Same with tomatoes, same with any number of different products that you find in the produce department. Now, if you were gonna grow that in your own backyard, you could not keep it on your shelf or even in the refrigerator for that long of a time, because these have been grown to do just that. That means we're getting a very limited variety of foods, fruits and vegetables in the grocery store because they are catering to that need for the shelf stability. So it's really important that we try to include other things that are more diverse. And the other thing is there are a lot of things that just aren't available to us. Cultures, even 100 years ago, people would eat far more diversity because they were aware that when they were walking through the woods, they could eat this, 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 and this. Because they had to, right? And now we rely on the grocery stores, and they have a very limited amount of diversity. So diversify. So get creative, try new things, go to the Asian market and see what you can find. It can be really fun. Go to different grocery stores and see what they have that your current grocery store that you go to most doesn't. It can be really fun to experience this as a family if you make it a game, if you make it fun. Diversity is really huge, and just keeping those colors and varieties in your diet is really important, particularly as we're moving into these winter months. Okay, let's see. All right, so ferments. We've talked a lot about ferments in this group. We've done some how-tos, how to make sauerkraut, how to make kombucha. Kefir is another really good example. Yogurts can be really great. So just again, when you're eating yogurts and kefir, make sure that it's not super high in sugar because they will chock those things full of sugar. And we want these ferments that have these naturally occurring bacteria in them, because that naturally occurring bacteria is what belongs in our gut to keep our guts healthy and strong, to make it possible for us to live fortified to break down other nutrients, to absorb other nutrients. So it's one of these things where we're replenishing a supply that's been depleted because we've been exposed to things that we maybe don't have control over, but we need to replenish. And again, only in the last, I would say 50 to 75 years, have we stopped eating as much in the way of fermented foods as our ancestors did. This was just a way of life, you know, pickles and sauerkrauts and kimchi, you know, all of these things that maybe we are like 1 or 2 generations past us. Our grandparents would eat them like crazy, right? I think my grandma always smells like sauerkraut because she probably was raised on it, right? It's just one of these things that's a super healthy way of living that we just aren't doing enough of anymore. So my challenge to you is just incorporate these things more and more and start enjoying them. I was not a big fan of sauerkraut when I started eating it, but suddenly, you know, it becomes more and more palatable. And when I know what it offers, which is super high doses of absorbable vitamin C, vitamin D, and other macronutrients, probiotics, and things that are really, really important for our gut health. Okay. So I'm starting to love sauerkraut and put it on a ton of different things, like not just hot dogs anymore. We'll put it on tacos and on salads and any kind of meat dish. So I really highly encourage you to explore that and to try that and to even ferment for yourself because it's so easy and can be really fun. Now, probiotics I mentioned in there are super important for our gut health. Really, 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 really important. And especially when you're feeling like your gut health is taxed, you want to up your probiotic intake because, again, 70% of your gut is, or 70% of your immune system is in your gut. Let's give it the best foot forward, right? And probiotics are huge. And I'll come back and talk a little bit about probiotics in the next segment. But enzymes are another key component. So enzymes are something that are in our food. They're in us already. But one of the things that happens, especially with metabolic enzymes, is over time, I'm going to take my jacket off. I'm getting all hot talking about these things that get me excited. So, enzymes are things that they're in our gut, they're in our body. Metabolic enzymes are something maybe you've heard of, and they are used to turn our food into energy. But what happens is over time, we use those up really rapidly because we eat foods that don't have enzymes on them. And so the food requires more use of those metabolic enzymes, and then they're used up and we notice our metabolism is fading away, right? And that's real sad. We can't lose weight anymore and we don't have energy anymore. And so that's a real struggle that most people I know deal with as they get older. And so really the only way to counterbalance this is to add more enzymes into our diet. And we can do that with raw, fresh fruits and veggies. They have tons of enzymes in them. Now we can't cook them as heavily as we might feel like we need to, eating lots of raw, eating them sort of maybe just, what is it? Poached, maybe, is that the right word? We don't want to overcook them. We want to get those enzymes while they're still available. Now, something to keep in mind, and I know we've talked about this a little bit in different videos before, is that as soon as a plant is picked, it's dead, right? Which means it's starting to deteriorate and those enzymes are starting to work, and that's what makes the food rot. And so even though you have an apple that's fresh from the grocery store, if it's 3 weeks old, it's not going to have the enzyme content that an apple picked off the farm is going to have. Okay. So something that we do have to think about is that we do in this day and age in our culture, we really do have to think about supplementing those enzymes to get our maximum benefit. And what enzymes do for us is they take the foods we eat and they break them down into basically bite-sized pieces or absorbable size pieces so that we can extract the nutrition from that food and actually use it where it is needed in our bodies. So enzymes are a key component in keeping us healthy, because if we are eating, maybe we're eating super healthy, but we don't have the enzymes we need to break that food down, then we're not going to get the nutrition that we need out of it. And we can see this in a lot of things, a lot of intolerances that people have, whether it's gluten intolerances or dairy intolerances or meat intolerances. A lot of that has to do with those enzymes being depleted in our bodies and our bodies not being able to process those things out anymore. And then it does give us like gassiness and discomfort and all of these things that if we had the enzymes working for us again, we could potentially alleviate and deal with effectively. So enzymes are another really key component, okay, with digestive health. And when I talk about probiotics and enzymes too, it's when our gut is healthy, then it's not just our immune system, but there's this parasympathetic system. It goes all the way back to our brain, and it keeps our brain healthy too. There's a literal chemical connection, and the research on that connection is like flooding in right now, because it's something that they really didn't talk about for generations, and it's very important that people understand that mental health and well-being is very directly connected to the gut. Now, it makes sense when you think about it, because if you're feeling stressed and anxious, where do you feel it generally first? Your stomach. That is the first place that I feel anything. Anger, happiness even is often there. Sadness, it just is the pit, right? In your stomach. You feel it, it moves. So your gut is taking on that energy. And in order to balance that back out again, we need to both support the brain and the gut, okay? Now we're going to move into that segment. So whole food nutrition, I want to mention a few things that in particular we look for as a family in order to boost our immune system. Keys are vitamin C. High dose vitamin C is an incredible tool, and has been used for any number of different things, from fending off illnesses to beating off cancers, to you name it. It's just such an incredible thing. If I'm ever in a situation where it's real severe, I'm going to want intravenous vitamin C. And they've been doing that a lot, I think, even in the hospitals with coronavirus. I think I've heard of that, some situations where they're doing that. Now, vitamin D is huge. Vitamin D is it's just for your immune system. You really can't beat it. And now, days are getting shorter. We're going through daylight savings right now, so it's got dark really early. And we're not spending as much time in the sun. The sun is further away from us. There's just no way for us to get the amount of vitamin D from the sun and from that absorption that we really need to function at optimal levels. Vitamin A is important. B is super important. B's, there's like several different B's. B6 is super important. Magnesium, zinc. Perhaps you've heard the zinc thing. People are taking zinc in the hospital. They're taking it as a preventative because it is such a good way to boost your immune system, particularly with the coronavirus going around. I think it specifically seems to react to zinc in a negative way. Good for us, bad for it, right? Okay. So now talking about stress, we're going to move into the brain health and what can we do to just deal with stress and again, be our healthiest, to avoid our stress, kind of stressing our immune system and taking it down and us down with it. We want to avoid things that stress us out, right? This can be very, very hard because we want to get on Facebook and be with our friends, and what else do we have to do if we can't go out and be with our friends? But then our friends become our enemies on Facebook because that's just how the algorithms work, and everybody is so staunchly one way or the other, and no one is loving each other, and it's just so stressful, right? And it really can be. Those posts that upset you, it means something. And you don't have to let it mean something, but you really have no choice. When you scroll back past something that's upsetting, it's upsetting and you've been upset. So what can we do to avoid it? We can stop scrolling. And I am saying that in jest because it's a retreat, right? We get stressed out and then we're like, well, I'll just keep scrolling and it'll go away and it won't be bad anymore. And I'll find something, and something at the bottom of this scroll is going to solve all my problems. And it isn't there. And so I've really had to stop scrolling. And when I find myself scrolling, it's usually when I'm most stressed out. And so I'm trying really hard to just not do it anymore. I get on Facebook to check if I've posted something, any comments there, those kinds of things. But scrolling the newsfeed is a really dangerous place right now. And maybe it won't always be that way, but honestly, I think Facebook wants it to be that way because then people get riled up and they talk and they chat and they share anyways. So that's a whole different topic that I'm going off on there, but that is definitely a trigger for a lot of us right now. If you agree, good. If you don't agree, that's fine. But specifically don't do it right before you're trying to go to bed. Specifically try to like take the phone away or the computer away, and give yourself a couple of hours away from that kind of stressful environment before you try to go to sleep, because right before you go to bed is the worst time to be scrolling and to be seeing things that are upsetting. Because what's worse than being stressed out in the moment is ruining a good night's sleep, because that's just going to perpetuate and make that situation even worse. Because without sleep, we are never going to be functioning at our best. We're going to disturb our body's ability to digest, which obviously we know is bad for the immune system, our body's ability to balance hormones, which is again going to just trigger all these imbalances, our body's ability to just process and eliminate what we don't need. If we can't sleep well, those things don't all happen. So sleep is going to be a really crucial part of feeling our best, right? Resting, managing stress kind of go hand in hand. Let's see. So I actually think that one of the things that I've had to do is to make a concerted effort to actually be with people, because my ability to sort of manage without having connection with people is basically non-existent. So we hang out with friends, and it's very important. And I took, for me, it took a while to kind of get to the place where I felt comfortable with that. But if I didn't have that, it would be very difficult for me to manage my emotions right now, because I rely so heavily on my friends in those relationships, to be able to, talk things out and to be able to have those humanly connections. So I think being with people is really important. And if you're really seriously quarantining still and not doing that, not getting together with people as much, then you need to find a way to make that happen. You need to find a way to connect with people in a really powerful way. And it is difficult to do this through I'm even sensing it right now. I'm like, what are people thinking? Are they laughing? Are they asking questions? Are they agreeing with me? It's really hard to do that through the screen and have that real connection and that real empathy that we have when we can feel the breathing and the energy that somebody is bringing with them into the space. So there's something to be aware of. It's a really important human connection that we just can't live without. Another key element, exercise, or things that you can do to manage stress. Exercise, obviously, this can get put on the back burner, especially when we feel like life is chaotic. It feels like the last thing we need to do, but it really can be the first thing that we need to do. Meditation, if you don't meditate, I highly recommend it. I'm sort of pointing my finger back at myself because I've not been so good at doing it. Every once in a while I'll do it, but it should be a part of my regular routine. And then, crafting and creating and just doing things that are sort of just play is really important. Try to fill that scroll time with time that you're just kind of doing things and exploring your own creativity and curiosity, and all of that can be extremely powerful way to relieve stress. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to talk about the things for eating better, the ways that we do that at home. So I already mentioned, we try to eat more fermented foods. We try to eliminate sugar. We do some other things at home too. We have like elderberry syrup. I've replaced a lot of our sugar intake with maple syrup or with honey, because those things come with some nutrition too. So it's not just the straight sugar levels. You're going to get some actual food nutrition with it, some value with it. We also take our supplements daily. We've got kids supplements, and then these are the adult supplements that we take. And there's 3 in here. I'm just going to list off some of the things that are in each of them as quickly as I can. So the first piece is the Microplex VMZ, which is your multivitamin. If I can read it, it's got vitamin A, C, D, E, K, thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, vitamin B, I think that's 6, folate, vitamin B12, biotin. It just keeps going on. Calcium, iron, iodine, magnesium, zinc, selenium, copper, manganese, chromium, and then some other really great whole food like kale and dandelion and things like that have great enzyme content. So I love this product. It is 100% made from food. So it is really like, just eating really good food, which is a key, because a lot of supplements are just synthetic and they really can't be processed by our body. So it's not really even that helpful to take those. let's see, this is the Z Omega, which is the fish oil, high, especially in vitamin D. But fish oils are really crucial for keeping our body functioning at its best. It's kind of like the lube that keeps everything going, particularly our brain. Anybody dealing with kind of like brain function, I say start with a fish oil for sure, as quickly as you can, especially really important in growing children as their brain develops, to support that growth and give it all that sort of, I just think of it as like fish juice that's like glue kind of, I don't know. Anyway, vitamin A, vitamin D3, vitamin E. Okay, the vitamin D, that's right. That's what I was meaning to point out in that one. So high amounts of vitamin D, really important. And then lastly, this is alpha CRS, which is the cellular vitality complex. It is just going to boost our cells, give them a ton of energy and vitality, and also helps eliminate things like inflammation, calm down pain and aches and soreness and all of that. So these three are meant to be taken in tandem daily for lifelong vitality, because we don't want to just live a long life. We want to live a healthy life. Okay, so that is kind of in the food and nutrition category. The Terrazyme enzyme is what I was talking about when you want to supplement your enzymes. This is the product that I would turn to, and I'm telling you, this stuff is incredible. Yeah, really good, really, really good. It's just a boost in enzymes that helps you to digest your foods. What you'll notice is you're less bloating and gassiness, increased absorbency of your foods that you eat that maybe normally would cause discomfort, all of these things. We really love the Terrazyme. What else did I have over there? Oh, and then PB Assist I did not bring with me, but PB Assist is our probiotic, and it's a wonderful option as a probiotic because it's in a dual capsule, which means it's got an outer layer and an inner layer. The outer layer holds the food for the probiotics, which keeps them alive until you eat them. And then it also is it's safe until it gets to your lower intestine, which is where we want it to go. So some probiotics that you might take won't get where they need to go. They'll die in transit, right? So we really want to take something that's going to get past the stomach acid and into our intestine where the magic happens. And people who have taken our probiotic, I'm one of them, I'm just kind of surprised at how much more effective it is than the other probiotics that I've taken over the years. This is just an example of a supplement that you can take. So On Guard Plus has several different essential oils in it that you can just pop. And this could be something, especially when you're feeling like you've been exposed, or especially when you're fighting something off in particular, this will just help it not last as long. And On Guard, the research on On Guard and its ability to boost our white blood cell count and fend off bugs and all kinds of, it's just a powerhouse. So On Guard, since I'm already talking about it, oh, I already moved it away. I don't have it here. It smells amazing. We also have these really fun On Guard drops, which it's these guys right here. If you were here, I would give you one. That's the thing about these things. I'd love for you guys to pass and smell and try and sample, but if you're interested in trying, then let me know. I will make sure that happens. But we've got frankincense is a powerhouse when it comes to the immune system. Now, for me, if I'm ever feeling like I'm stressed, it's my go-to for stress. It's my go-to for my body stress too. And it's a piece of a lot of the protocols that we use on the spine. We have some aromatherapy protocols that we use on the spine that are really intensive and very powerful. One in particular that is called the, I'm totally blanking right now, infectious disease protocol. And so we'll use that whenever we're fighting something off. But frankincense, I'll just put it under my tongue. I'm not gonna do it right now. When I feel like something is just clogging me up or coming my way or whatever. And I just grabbed a couple other really of my favorite oils when it comes to the immune system. So Melissa is a powerhouse. It is in that On Guard Plus that I just showed you, but this is something that you can use. So some of my tips for using oils is to just incorporate them into your kind of regular routine. And this can be bit by bit for sure. Like On Guard, for example, just put it on your feet before you go to bed. right? Maybe that's your first step. That was my first step with essential oils. That was the only thing I did. I just would take On Guard and put it on my feet before I went to bed. And if anyone in the house was sick, we would double down and we would make sure that we got it on our feet in the morning and at night, and then I would put it behind my ears. Now, this was even before I got involved with doTERRA. And then when I did get involved with doTERRA, I basically came to a class to learn more because I just knew I needed that blend. And then when I got to the class, I was like, oh, holy smokes, I didn't know about all these other things that you could do. So anyway, On Guard is a really great place to start for so many different reasons. Tea tree is a blend, or is not a blend, is an oil that's been used for hundreds of years, thousands maybe, as an antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial. So it's a great tool to have on hand. Now, this is something that is for sore throats. If I ever feel a sore throat coming on, I'll touch the top of that bottle and touch it to my tongue, or I'll even just massage it on my throat, or I'll take a shot glass of On Guard or of water and put a drop of On Guard, a drop of Melaleuca, and then gargle. And that cleans up that sore throat so quickly. We have fought off things like strep before without it ever coming to the point where we needed to see a doctor. And I mean, this is coming from someone who I am perfectly happy to go see a physician if need be, but we have avoided needing that for over 11 years, if not longer, just by using natural tools. So there are tons of other options too that are, you know, apple cider vinegar is really, really powerful when it comes to your immune system. And so is, again, it's that ferment and vitamin C and a lot of things in there that are good for us. But you got to get the good stuff with the mother, not the stuff that you buy, like, what is it, White House? Not White House. Although I think even they are trying to make a better version now too, that I've seen it in the stores. What else was I going to say? I mentioned elderberry syrup, garlic, onions. I mean, we use all of these things too, but the oils are the most fun and easiest, and the supplements too make it really easy. Now, something else I just wanted to introduce you to that I just think is fun and easy is we just come out with these kits. They're called wellness kits, and this is the immunity kit. And what happens is when you order, it comes in 3 different boxes over the course of 3 different months, and they come with a variety of products on that particular topic. So we have 3 topics. We've got immunity right now, we've got mood and mind, and we've got relief, which is like, you know, like pain and soreness and that kind of thing. So immunity kit, of course, is going to be immune system related things. So in this first box, it comes with foaming hand soap. Love this. You put this in here, and I water ours down, and then it's a foamer, so it lasts for a really long time, and it feels very luxurious. I think it's a very good consistency. And then it comes with this great little kit. It's a little bag with several other products in it, like, for example, On Guard. There's On Guard. Purify. Purify is really good at killing germs in the air, making things smell better. And then Wild Orange, which I love because it's amazing for the immune system. It tastes really good. Adding it to water is so simple. One of those ways that's real easy to kind of overcome your need for a soda drink or whatever. And then some On Guard toothpaste samples, which is cool because you can take that with you. And oh, there's more that I'm missing. Oh, hand sanitizer and dental floss. On Guard dental floss, which is really good for your oral health and gums and all of that. So these are really fun. And the next kit has different variety of things in it. So if this is something that you're like, oh, I just feel overwhelmed, there are some really easy places to start and ways to kind of ease your way into sort of shifting from a sort of less natural way of doing things, or even if you're already natural, honestly. I've been natural for a really long time before I met doTERRA, and I just love how simple and fun they make it. I have fallen in love with their products, and I continue to be in love even 7 years later. So, so that's that. That is all the information I want to share with you tonight about the immune system. There may be more that I didn't hit on, but this is what stood out to me as the most important to share with you tonight. If you have questions, linger. I'll linger for a few minutes. Ask them. Feel free to ask them. If you don't want to ask in public, you can ask me privately as well. But I love helping people this way. I love talking about this. I get obviously kind of riled up about it and excited about it, but I am really thankful that you took a minute to stop by and listen, and that it was helpful for you. I hope that this is leaving you feeling like you've got some tools to help you during the season of trials and tribulations, right? Yes, that's my goal. I hope that I've made it a little easier for you. You made it easier for me by showing up, so thank you. I'm going to see if I can get into the Facebook group where I posted live. But again, I'm still here on Zoom. So if you want to ask a question, I really appreciate your having shown up. Let's see. I don't see any questions coming in. Thanks, Lacey. Yay, Lacey, do I take the probiotics daily? Actually, that's a good question. I don't always take them daily. I take them sort of intermittently, and then mostly in the wintertime. Just because in the summertime, I'm eating much more fermented. I should eat more during the winter months too, but because we have a garden and we're fermenting cabbage and you know, making pickles and doing all these things that are just fresh out of the garden, I feel like I'm getting a lot of probiotics in the summertime. So I don't always take it, but if you're not eating those kinds of things, then definitely double down on the PB Assist for sure. So hopefully that answers your question, Kathy. Aw, thanks, Paula. You're so sweet. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, Kathy, the first half, if you've missed anything, it will be in the group, so you can just start it back over. As soon as it's over, I think you can just go back to the beginning and watch it all over again. So I am a fast talker, but that's convenient, so you don't have to take notes. You can just listen to me over and over and over again. But Carolyn, Leanne, Eva, and Beverly, thanks for hopping on in the Zoom. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I don't see any questions in the Q&A here. So if you're not in the group, again, the Facebook group that I put it in live, you're welcome to join there. I would love for you to be in there. And then you can have access to the recording too, and you can ask questions if they come up. But everyone, thank you so much. Have a really good night. Stay healthy and well. And let me know if I can help you get your hands on any of these products. That is what sustains our farm, is helping people with these things. So you're welcome, Beverly. There, I see. Oh, there's the chat. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Have a great night.